Okay. What am I doing? So how can I be involved with direct air capture research? How can I be involved in direct air capture research, or particularly sorbent research, I guess? And can that involve software development, I guess? What are we looking at here? OpenDAC, discovering sorbents for DAC using AI. So I guess, yeah. I don't know how to discover sorbents and what background knowledge I need. Maybe I should do it. Should I start like... Hold on, what is this? You don't get to see this. Oh shit. Animatic. Okay. A note for, what is this? DAC research. Working in DAC. You know what? Let's do this. All right. What was I even thinking? Sorbent research. Yeah, I don't think I need to do this right now. Let's go back. Discover new sorbents to lower the cost of direct air capture. What is the state of sorbents currently? So, what do I know about? I know about carbon XPRIZE. Let's not do this. Let's just go. What do I know about? I know about Carbon XPRIZE, in where the goal of the XPRIZE was not to find storage methods, which I think is the stage of it now. It was to find carbon capture methods. So what have we found that works? So what is the state of working solutions currently? Sorry. What was I going to write? What does it say? The working solutions currently? How esoteric, impractical are new solution is investigating research is is practical, scalable, relevant solutions still. Is it still plausible that there are anything to be discovered? So this has to do with basically, I think there are a few central or basic materials. So there's gotta be some basic materials that are the real that are the kind of front-running main contenders for what am I saying? For scalable things that can scale up enough to make a dent, to make a drop in the ocean. Like sand and is overly abundant and stuff. So like I think it's basically like, do you have to, let's do this. Is the domain of scalable enough solutions are limited to essentially raw materials? And minimally processed materials like rock and etc. Because if it's pointless to, if the things that work other than those are just advanced materials that won't scale, then kind of whatever, I guess. So what do I want to learn? What to learn? Oh, hello. How what's capable or friendly or large scale manufacturing and what's not? What's conducive to large scale manufacturing and what's not? AI has urban solutions space. What solo solution space looks like and how to navigate it. Let's see, and AI, how AI helps. This is not a. This kind of reminds me of the AI DeepMind developed to explore like proteins and discover new proteins for like biology or medicine or whatever. This seems like a similar idea, and I didn't really it wasn't easy. I couldn't really wrap my head around what that would mean for what the AI would look like. Like using AI for a problem of game controller inputs, like I thought of, like turning gamepad. I guess I'm only imagining neural networks in my head. What I was going to say was I can imagine how AI would work for, I think, for turning gamepad controller inputs into, to movement of a human character. The character is like, modeled by joints and stuff. And turning gamepad inputs into joint forces for a human character in a video game based on context and stuff. And that would just be a neural network from the inputs, gamepad inputs, and then the other inputs you'd want to feed in from the game, and the outputs being the character joints or whatever. For this application, I don't really see what the AI architecture would look like. Maybe because it would be a neural network, but I don't know. What are the inputs and outputs? The output would be some chemical compound, maybe some chemical structure, maybe some chain, some unit. What are they called in 3F? Unit pattern or whatever. Lattice unit. What would the inputs be? What would the inputs be to try and discover? Maybe like all the elements, I guess. The periodic table of elements is the input. Yeah. Okay, so there's some stuff. There's some thoughts. DAC. So what I want to know is how does sorbent research happen today? It happens in like wet labs. And I'd have to be a scientist, I guess. Because this is a partnership between Meta and Georgia Tech, I'll just search up Georgia Tech DAC sorbent research. Oh shit. Freak off. All right. What did they say in this?
When I decided to join the
Direct air capture, or DAC, is an important technological solution for removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. We believe carbon engineering technology is capable of doing this at an industrial scale. This approach combines proven processes to remove large volumes of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere year over year, enough to help us curb global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius when combined with other global carbon reduction initiatives. The premise behind DAC is simple. Air is pulled into the facility with dozens of high-powered fans and sent through a series of processes that separate the carbon dioxide from other atmospheric molecules. The isolated CO2 is then converted into a liquid, which can be pumped underground to be safely and permanently stored, or used as a feedstock for products that improve our quality of life. A DAC facility will have large fans that draw air into each unit, where it is absorbed into a chemical solution of potassium hydroxide and water, which bonds to the CO2. This bonding happens as the potassium hydroxide flows across a highly engineered PVC packing system, designed to increase the surface area and amount of CO2 captured. Once the liquid solution reaches the unit's outlet, the process of concentrating the captured CO2 begins. First, the solution is pumped into a piece of equipment called a pellet reactor. Calcium hydroxide is added, forming small pellets of calcium carbonate that hold the captured carbon. The pellet liquid solution is pumped into a centrifuge, where the pellets are separated from the refreshed potassium hydroxide. The pellets are then dried, while the potassium hydroxide liquid is
I didn't hear any of that.
forming small pellets of calcium carbonate that hold the captured carbon. The pellet liquid solution is pumped into a centrifuge, where the pellets are separated from the refreshed potassium hydroxide. The pellets are then dried, while the potassium hydroxide liquid is filtered and recycled back to the air contactors to capture more CO2. From the centrifuge, the calcium carbonate pellets are moved to a calciner, where they are exposed to high temperatures and converted into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. The captured carbon dioxide is sent off to be compressed and either stored or utilized. The calcium oxide pellets are recycled back into the process. They are first sent to a slaker, where mixed with water, calcium hydroxide is formed and ready to go back into the pellet reactor, where it will be used again to create new calcium carbonate pellets. With the CO2 captured, separated, purified, and compressed, it can be permanently stored deep underground or used as a feedstock for new products such as cement, plastics, or even low-carbon fuels. Carbon Engineering's DAC technology utilizes widely deployed equipment and processes in a new way that will help reduce atmospheric CO2 concentrations at scale. DAC has the potential to remove large volumes of CO2 from the
Alright. These guys' commercials are really annoying and dramatic. Well, hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DAC Pack,
Thank
a
you.
series where we explore all things direct air capture. In this video, we'll be talking about the other main mechanism by which direct air capture is done, that is using solid sorbents. If you're curious about liquid
Hold on.
In this video, we'll be series where we explore all things direct air capture. In this video, we'll be talking about the other main mechanism by which direct air capture is done, that is using solid sorbents. If you're curious about liquid solvent direct air capture, please see the other video in this series.
Alright, so there's solid solvents and liquid solvents. Is that what you said?
If you're curious about liquid solvent direct air capture, please see the other video in this series. Just like last video, we'll be pulling a lot from the National Academy of Sciences paper published in 2019, and my goal, again, is to make that accessible to you, especially if you don't have a technical background. And my goal, again, is to make that from the National Academy of Sciences paper published in 2019, and my goal, again, pulling a lot from the National Academy of Sciences paper published in 2019, and my goal, again, is to make that accessible to you, especially if you don't have a technical background. But I'll still be walking through the details and hopefully providing some intuition as we go along for why everything makes sense. And also,
So solid solvents. Direct air capture. Solid solvent is what I was looking at. And heirloom uses rocks. Yeah, so it's basically rocks. So maybe there's no potential in is AI useful for finding new sorbents, particularly solid sorbents? Because I just like the idea of laying out crushed rocks on big trays of rocks. A restoring balance to our atmosphere. That's cool, man. Limestone. Yeah, so crushing limestone. Like that. It's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool, man. And I mean, models. What about models? Maybe I can work on models for modeling behavior of solid sorbents. How is that done? I bet I could probably do this. I feel like I could do this. Like do this as a project. And then there's also AI for sorbent discovery. Let's watch a video on that. Where's the sorbent discovery? Ain't no videos on that. Excuse me. What was the other one?
My name is Matthias Steiner. I'm a researcher and manager of the Industrial Technology and Science area at IBM Research in Brazil. Also, I'm co-leading a global initiative in materials discovery for the future of climate. And I would like to talk to you a bit about the research that we are going to present at this year's March meeting of the American Physical Society, in which we are analyzing CO2 and its relation to climate change. More specifically, we are focusing on discovering new materials to better separate carbon dioxide and to store it for the longer term. So one of the biggest questions actually after we capture the carbon dioxide, which is generated today in many industrial processes, in energy production, in industrial manufacturing, in transportation, how we are actually storing for the longer term. So one huge potential that we are seeing is the storage at pore scale in rock formation. So at IBM Research, we are currently having a research project that is focusing on understanding scientifically at the chemical and physical level the storage processes that take place at the rock's pore scale. And the potential here is great. So there's a lot of storage capacity for carbon dioxide in geological formations. For example, we could use depleted oil and gas reservoirs, but also deep saline aquifers. So there's a huge global capacity for storage. And if we are successful in finding good methods to store with high efficiency, that will help us to achieve our longer term objective, which is actually to store the CO2 in the long term as safely and as efficient as possible. So from a technology perspective, we are using artificial intelligence and cloud technologies in order for us to get faster in the scientific discovery. So it's very important for the simulations that we do and for the way that we do the scientific work to use these platform technologies in order to move as quickly as possible, make the progress. And very specifically in the project that we are going to present, we are talking about a simulation environment that we have created in which we have physical simulations of the chemical and physical processes, at this time chemical processes in the future, that are concerned with how the carbon dioxide interacts with the rock. So at a very small scale, at a microscopic scale, at a nanoscopic scale, rock has cavities, has capillaries that are connected in a capillary network. And what we are simulating, what we are trying to understand better scientifically, is how the carbon dioxide, once it's injected, interacts with the other constituents. So it's not
All right, I think I missed some of that.
processes in the future that are concerned with how the carbon dioxide interacts with the rock. So at a very small scale, at a microscopic scale, at a nanoscopic scale, rock has cavities, has capillaries that are connected in a capillary network. And what we are simulating, what we are trying to understand better scientifically, is how the carbon dioxide, once it's injected, interacts with the other constituents. So it's not only the carbon dioxide, there's also other fluids, for example, water, brine, and we need to understand the interaction between the carbon dioxide and the brine, but also between the fluids and the solid surface, the environment, the rock surface, which are important for promoting the separation, the storage, and mineralization processes. So this is very complex. It's very hard to investigate and understand. So right now, we are doing many simulations, simulating scenarios, injection scenarios that take into consideration the specifics of the particular geological formation. So not every rock is the same. So we need to take that into consideration in our simulation scenarios. And the next step is to create more data and then also to share the simulation results, the technology and the data, making it available to the community. Because we need that collaboration with our colleagues in the industry, in academia, because we can only be successful if we work together. So it's a community effort. And the more participants, the more researchers, material scientists, chemists, engineers we have to use and leverage the data and the technology, the better our chances to actually be successful in our fight against climate change. And the end goal for us, and that's kind of the holy grail of the geological storage, is to understand better the mineralization at the pore scale. So that's something that we are working towards, to understand really the chemistry that is happening in transforming and converting carbon dioxide into solid phase, into mineral in the pore scale. And that's something more further out, but we hope like making progress that allows us to expose and collaborate on all levels of that project as we go forward. I would like to thank you very much for your time and your attention to this important matter. Thank you very much.
Okay, maybe I could do this. Maybe I could work on this. Maybe. Yeah, maybe I could. Maybe. So it's either industrial, kind of based off of existing industrial processes, either liquid. Well, what did the guy say? Liquid. Liquid solvent. Industrial pipelines or whatever, or solid sorbent capture. And that's basically what we do, right? I'm guessing I'm guessing, maybe I don't need to write this down, I'm guessing the solution space is just industrial processes like we have already, or in that style, like a plant. Who's the Icelandic company? That ice. Excuse me. Climax. Climeworks. Who's 1.5? What is 1.5? Addressing removal sequestration. Okay, so they make plants too. Yeah, I remember this. I've seen video of this conference, I think. Carbon capture and storage company. Okay. Maybe I'll work for a carbon capture and storage company. All right. Passion and action. Climeworks. And yeah, there's also, I also forgot. I'm in this on my channel. Open air. Oopsie. Okay. Wow, Discord is pretty good. $5.21. A few months ago. What's MCDR? Micro CDR? Marine. More like onboard carbon capture and storage. Oh, okay. But super interesting approach and great science-based farming team. Cool. Excess CO2 enters the atmosphere. Yeah, okay. Calsore's technology helps reduce and remove carbon emissions by accelerating the carbon cycle. Not exactly marine CDI, more like CDR, more like onboard carbon capture, CCS. Like onboard CCS. I wonder what they do. Based on over a decade of research leading us, developed a reactor based on the accelerated weathering of limestone. A reactor. So they have a reactor which can be used to capture emissions from point sources and to safely store carbon captured from the atmosphere. Smaller, more efficient, and lower cost than today's best available systems for need. Okay, so it's some. What is it called? It is called a reactor put on a ship. It's dependency on port infrastructure for handling of pure carbon dioxide. System takes captured, converts it into oceanic bicarbonate, stable, secure environment. So cool. That's cool. And then maybe you can travel the world on a ship or something. Probably not. So I guess one component would be you need to understand the science. Was there a beast with spiral eyes. We are backed by world-class organizations and leading funds such as blah, 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 blah. We've worked on basic research problems in climate and oceanography for decades before finding calcium. Cool, man. Pretty cool. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of how things are going to work. They're going to involve pipes and tanks, various shapes and sizes, an industrial process equipment, chemical process type beats for like liquids. Or they're gonna, what is Climeworks? Climeworks has plastic bags and fans, and then they do something with it. Do they do a little bubbler as well? Let's make jet fuel. Let's make jet fuel, baby. Jet fuel. I forget exactly what they do, but so now so basically the topic should be, now I'm going to change the topic. Let's change the topic, let's change the topic to is what's AI's role in DAX orbit discovery? And out of curiosity, I'm going to switch back to the first scene. Boy, the hell? To see if that changes the title. Yay, cool, that worked. All right, let's watch that video. Watch the Georgia Tech video.
In the area of direct air capture, we're looking for materials that can capture CO2. In the area of direct air capture, we're looking for materials that can capture CO2 selectively from the air and leave the water behind.
To grab carbon dioxide, each DAC design must have a unique chemical that works with specific environments. Have each DAC design, so like, wait, what? Yes, cutting carbon emissions will not be enough. We must remove CO2 straight from the air, and I'd love to install. I want to be a stack installer in this fjord. Enter DAC, abutting, yeah, okay.
In the area of direct air capture, we're looking for materials that can capture CO2 selectively from the air and leave the water behind.
Alright, whatever.
The air that you're moving through will probably look different if you're in Texas or if you're in Florida or if you're in Alaska. And so when we think about those processes, the missing piece is the material. So we really need to find the perfect material that can go in and adapt to those conditions.
So you need to be what?
The missing piece is the air that you're moving through will probably look about those processing Texas or if you're in Florida or if you're in Alaska.
Alaska.
And so when we think about those processes, the missing piece is the material. So we really need to find the perfect material that can go in and adapt to those conditions.
Wait, okay. Excuse me. So I want to investigate
Meta
this.
had this idea about using data centers as a potential route to direct air capture. However, they recognized that they need new materials to do that. And so our team was able to use a combination of chemistry and materials knowledge along with knowledge of relevant conditions for direct air capture. The
What did you just say?
Using data.
Did he not
Meta had this
understand
idea about
what Meta was doing?
using data centers as
They had this
Meta
idea.
had this idea about using data centers as a potential route to direct air capture. However,
As a potential route to direct air capture. Does he not know what they're doing?
they recognize that they need new materials to do that as a potential route to direct air capture. However, they recognize that they need new materials to do that. And so our
What does that even mean?
team was able to use a combination of chemistry and materials knowledge along with knowledge of relevant conditions for direct air capture, the relevant chemistry for direct air capture to create inputs that Meta's team could use to generate the database.
Okay, interesting. Got it.
Chemistry and materials, new materials to do that. And so
They
a
did?
potential route to direct air capture. However, they're about using data.
Fuck, so I need to be able to be hired by these guys. By top class company.
Centers as a potential route to direct air capture. However, the idea about using data centers as a potential route to direct air capture. However, they recognize that they need new materials to do that. And so our team was able to use a combination of chemistry and materials knowledge along with knowledge of relevant conditions for direct air capture, the relevant chemistry for direct air capture to create inputs that Meta's team could use to generate the database.
Interesting. It's open source researchers can find materials. Okay, got it.
The way that this database might be used
Oh, interesting. Yeah, but it says AI. Using AI.
is for engineers who are the way that this database might be used is for engineers who are trying to design direct air capture or other kinds of carbon capture processes. And so they might use this database either just searching through the database, or they might use the AI models. And I think that's where it gets really exciting because now they're not confined to the specific materials or structures that we have in the database.
So today, if we look at the scale of direct air capture of carbon dioxide, the scale is a few thousand tons. And we know that we're going to need scales that are in the millions of tons to potentially even thousands of millions of tons. Given that scale,
Billions, brother. Billions.
we have to be developing those technologies over the next decade to a decade and a half. And those technologies can't be developed without the materials to support them. So we have to be discovering those materials today.
Direct air capture is a technology that's very new, and I think that
And those technologies can't be developed without the materials to support them. So we have to be discovering those materials today.
direct air capture is a technology that's very new, and I think that I would encourage folks to think about their children and their grandchildren and recognize
Hold on.
Given that scale, we have to be developing those technologies over tons. We need scales that are in the millions of tons to potentially even thousands of millions of tons. Given that scale, we have to be developing those technologies over the next decade to a decade and a half. And those technologies can't be developed without the materials to support them. So we have to be discovering those materials today.
direct air capture is a technology that's very new, and I think that I would encourage folks to think about their children and their grandchildren and recognize that at some point in the future, the carbon levels in the atmosphere will very likely have catastrophic consequences, and we need to work on both basic science, applied science, fundamental science in order to enable these technologies to solve those problems down the line.
All right. Well, got it. Okay, so I guess, yeah, this is where I'm gonna look. Let me stop this. Let's look more into direct air capture. I mean, what? Into this thing, this database, whatever. AI and database stuff and DAC and sorbent materials. Bye.